Standard Specifications for Construction Division 2. The significant changes that were made in Division 2 of the 2012 Spec Book include revising all instances of the term grading limits to the term limits of earth disturbance, revising the method of measurement and payment for several pay items, incorporating several special provisions resulting in new subsections and new pay items, and revising the language in subsection 20803 for time limitations for completion of the final grade. The term grading limits was revised to the limits of earth disturbance throughout the division. The definition of limits of earth disturbance was incorporated into Division 1. The definition of the limits of earth disturbance is that area extending 10 feet outside the slope stake line, except adjacent to wetlands where the limits of earth disturbance is at the slope stake line. This revision was necessary to be consistent with the definition of the DEQ approved Soil Erosion and Sedimentation Control Manual. Section 201, Clearing. The title remains the same and there have been no significant changes to Section 201. Section 202, Removing Trees, Stumps, and Corduroy. The title remains the same and there have been no significant changes to Section 202. Section 203, Removing Drainage Structures, Culverts, and Sewers. The title remains the same and there have been no significant changes to Section 203. Section 204, Removing Miscellaneous Structures and Materials. The title for Section 204 remains the same. Discussion of the significant changes made to this section will be provided in the following slides. One of the significant changes made to Section 204 is the incorporation of the special provision for concrete barrier removal. A new subsection was created, 204.03A11, to include this information. Direction is provided for the removal of the concrete barrier wall and associated foundations. The pay item for this work, concrete barrier removal, was included in the new subsection 204.04.M. Another one of the significant changes made to Section 204 is the incorporation of the special provision for glare screen removal. A new subsection was created, 204.03.A.12, to include this information. Direction is provided for the removal of the glare screen. The pay item for this work, glare screen remove, was included in the new subsection 204.04.N. Another one of the significant changes made to Section 204 is the revision of subsection 204.04.B.1, HMA pavements and HMA driveways. In the 2003 Spec Book, there were 4 options for the measurement and payment of HMA removal, which were dependent on the HMA thickness in the proposed work, if any, on the underlying material. The new language reduces those options for measurement and payment of HMA removal from 4 down to 2. Also, there is no distinction made whether the underlying material is removed or remains in place. The removal of HMA surface no greater than 12 inches thick, overlying a material designated for removal or that is required to remain in place, will be paid for as HMA surface removal in accordance with Section 501. Note, it is important that the errata for subsections 501.03.C.6 and 501.04.H is reviewed to ensure all intended changes are implemented properly. The removal of HMA surface greater than 12 inches thick, overlying a material designated for removal or that is required to remain in place, will be paid for as pavement removal in accordance with subsection 204.04.B.1.B. Another one of the significant changes made to Section 204 is the addition of a new subsection, 204.04.d, sidewalk removal. This new subsection provides direction for the measurement and payment for this item of work. The 2003 Spec Book was silent regarding the measurement and payment of this item of work. The removal of sidewalks 6 inches thick or less will be paid for as sidewalk remove according to subsection 204.04.d. Removal of sidewalk greater than 6 inches thick will be paid for as pavement remove according to subsection 204.04.b. Section 205, Roadway Earthwork. The title for Section 205 will remain the same. Discussion of the significant changes made to this section will be provided in the following slides. One of the significant changes made to Section 205 includes the incorporation of the frequently used special provision 03 SP 205(b) titled Crushed Concrete. Language was added permitting the use of crushed concrete as an acceptable alternative in place of other approved materials. In subsection 205.03.h.4, placing and compacting embankment, language was added that broken concrete material may be used for embankment construction, providing its use in accordance with this subsection. Broken concrete is not permitted within 3 feet of the subgrade surface. The use of crushed concrete was included in subsection 902.06, open-graded aggregates for earthwork, open-graded drainage courses, and underdrains, as an acceptable alternative for these items. However, there are some restrictions. Crushed concrete is not permissible for use as open-graded classes 34R and 34G. Another significant change made to Section 205 is the incorporation of the special provision for ditch cleanout. A new subsection was created, 205.03.k, to include this information. The work for ditch cleanout is limited to a depth no greater than 2 feet and includes removal of cattails, brush, miscellaneous debris, trees with a diameter less than 6 inches, and blending ditch profiles to match the existing ditch. The pay item for this work is covered in the new subsection 205.04.h. Section 206, Excavation and Backfill for Structures. The title remains the same, and there have been no significant changes to Section 206. Section 207, Obliterating Roadway. The title remains the same, and there have been no significant changes to Section 207. Section 208, Soil Erosion and Sedimentation Control. The title for Section 208 will remain the same. Discussion of the significant changes made to this section will be provided in the following slides. One of the significant changes to Section 208 includes the revision of subsection 208.03.b, time limitations. The language final earth grade has replaced all instances of final grading or final earth change. Final earth grade does not include topsoil or other permanent restoration measures. The engineer will consider the earth grade final and ready for placement of topsoil and permanent soil erosion control measures when the contractor constructs a slope, channel, ditch, or other disturbed area in accordance with subsection 205.03.n, trimming and finishing earth grade. The contractor is not to prolong trimming, finishing, final earth grade, or both to permanently stabilize the project at one time. Another significant change made to Section 208 is the incorporation of the special provision for a turbidity curtain. A new subsection was created, 208.03.C.14, turbidity curtain, to include this information. The language covers both the deep and shallow application for turbidity curtain, and direction is provided as to when it is appropriate to use either one. The material requirements for turbidity curtain have been included in subsection 916.07. Section 209, Project Cleanup. The title remains the same, and there have been no significant changes to Section 209.